DJ Wagner is the #1 overall player in his class for the country, and we all know he's going to be a great player one day. But however, with that being said, it does not stop there, and in today's video, I'm here to explain to you how he can make history. We all know who DJ is, and we all know how good he is at basketball. He's the #1 player in the country, but it didn't just start with him. Before DJ came along, his dad and his grandfather came along, and just listen to how crazy they were at basketball. Milt Wagner, who is DJ's grandfather, led his high school to a state championship in 1979. More importantly, in 1981, he was a McDonald's All-American, and that's a very prestigious honor. I think that would be pretty awesome itself to say you had a grandfather who won a state championship and was a McDonald's All-American, but it does not stop there. DJ's dad, known as Dewan Sr., was also a high school superstar and maybe even better than his grandfather. He quickly, and I mean very quickly, became a high school star himself. As just a freshman on varsity, he averaged 27.3 points per game. Then the following year, to top that, he averaged a remarkable 35.3 points per game. That's unreal. If things couldn't get any better, they did. He followed that up by leading his team to a state title as just a junior. And I gotta throw this in there because it's a very key point. In one game his junior year, he scored 80 points. Scoring 80 points in a single game is something that some players don't even do in an entire year. I know you're sitting there thinking, he scored 80 points, he must have been tough, but listen to this. As a senior, DJ Wagner's dad, I am saying this right, dropped 100 points in a single game. I'm not even going to talk about that too much. There's nothing to even say about it. You understand how great of an achievement that is. Of course, he was one of the best players in the country himself and was also a McDonald's All-American like his father. He wound up committing and signing with Memphis, whose current head coach then was John Calipari, who currently coaches you-know-who, Kentucky, and he only played there for 1 year and then entered the NBA draft in 2002. This is where things go downhill really fast for him though, because for his professional career, there's not too much to be said. It was cut short due to a number of reasons, but most importantly, he had a lot of injuries and health concerns. That's a little information about DJ's family that I'm sure some of you knew, but maybe a lot of you didn't know they were that good. Somehow, one way or another, every time they have a kid, they continue to get better because DJ's the #1 player in the country. Will he drop 100 points in a single game? I don't know about that, but hey, I guess we'll have to wait and see. If this story wasn't already crazy enough, you want to hear something that may just blow your mind? DJ didn't even start off playing basketball. He was a football player. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. The #1 current player in the country was at first playing football. I know. You're probably sitting there thinking, yo Matt, his dad made him, but DJ actually preferred playing football over basketball at the time. He grew up around the game and he played with his older brothers when he was only 4 years old. Here's what his dad went on to say in an interview about the whole experience. When they got to their first day of equipment, they were contact hitting. The coach told me he didn't want to let him hit, but I'm like, let him hit. He was a big kid for his age. DJ wanted to hit. It was full contact. These kids were 3 years older than him. Also later adding, quote unquote, the next day we were in the house around 5 or 6 o'clock. Practice was around 6, 7 o'clock. He came in the front room. Dad, I got practice today? That's when I knew he wasn't you know what? They were hitting him and they weren't taking it easy on him either. You can just tell by in that interview that he definitely has that Kobe-like and dog mentality installed in him. His dad followed up in the interview by saying he wanted to be careful by introducing basketball to DJ and all of his kids so quickly because he didn't want to force it upon them. He wanted them to play basketball because they wanted to, not because he wanted them to. And before we go on in this video, I do gotta say I admire that most about his dad because a lot of parents now force them kids and try to live their wannabe lives through their kids, and DJ's dad did not do that. To make a long story short, DJ also played basketball when he was younger, but football was #1 in his first priority. That was until he got older and just took more of a liking to basketball. A lot of people think it's nothing but sunshine and butterflies and would love to be a son of a former star, but it's not as easy as you think. It's for obvious reasons. You have a lot of pressure on you and you're always being compared to them and you're kind of in their shadow. Growing up, of course, DJ didn't get to see his granddad play or even his father play, but he's heard stories about how good they were, and here's what he had to say. It's crazy watching my dad and grandpa play in high school because just to see them in the same situation I am, playing for Camden, it's just crazy. I love watching their tapes, just seeing the way they played in high school and how crazy it was because it's the same way when they were in high school. maybe even crazier. Seeing their old highlights, I think it's pretty cool. One thing that you have to keep in mind was that his dad and granddad both played at Camden, so he had some pretty high expectations to live up to. And about the pressure, here's what he went on to say. I never really looked at it as pressure, I just was excited. I used to always just love to hear about the stories about my dad and grandpa when they were in high school. When I was younger, I used to always go to Camden games, watch them play in the States. I always just thought about playing for Camden High and how crazy it would be. I always wanted to play for them, seeing how passionate their fans are in just that environment. I do gotta say, those are very wise and mature words from DJ, but let's move on to another point I really want to touch on in this video. For a father and son to both be McDonald's All-American, that's rare itself, but they have a chance to have a grandpa, a dad, and a son to all three be McDonald's All-Americans. There's only been a handful of father-son All-Americans, about 4 or 5, and there hasn't been a single one to have 3 All-Americans. Is it a for sure thing that DJ is going to be a McDonald's All-American? No, but it kind of is. He's the #1 player in the country. It's not a matter of if this will happen, it's more of a when it will happen. And whenever it does, just keep in mind you heard it here first, this will be history and the first time there's a grandfather, father, son All-American trio. I know a lot of people have already bought into DJ's hype because everyone loves this kid. He's humble and he's a killer, but if you haven't, just listen to what his dad had to say about him. Keep in mind, his dad averaged 35 points per game as a sophomore in high school, dropped to 80 points in a game and 100 points, so he was good. Quote unquote, people think I'm crazy when I say it. I just think when I was his age, he's better than me. Also adding that he thinks he's more skilled than him at that age. Obviously, that's crazy to even think about, that DJ could be better than his dad, and we all know how good he was just by hearing the stats. I couldn't even imagine seeing him play and doing what he was doing out there. Another thing to kind of keep in the back of your head, that it is kind of scary to even think that DJ will be better than his father. Will it happen at the high school level? I don't really know about that because his dad was a legend, but I'm sure at the NBA level he'll pass him. Who knows what's gonna happen with DJ, but another little crazy thing to really think about down the road is what happens if DJ has a kid and he's better than DJ. This family's just going to continue to set records and have not 2, not 3, but 4 All-Americans. It's really just surreal to even think about, and we just gotta clap it up and give our credit to them. What a heck of a run they've gone through. As always, I'm curious, let me know what you think about DJ. Will he be the 3rd All-American in the family, or will he be a bust and fall off? But hey man, with all that being said, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.